Roman Reigns' response to Jey Uso after betrayal on WWE SmackDown. Unfortunate update on health of 73-year-old WWE Hall of Famer Vince McMahon's return to control in WWE. Why Paul Heyman is still carrying 2 defunct belts. Bayley sends a message to Roman Reigns after WWE SmackDown. Sami Zayn helped Jey Uso to choose between Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. What the Usos told each other backstage after attacking Roman Reigns. Let's jump right into it. Unfortunate update on health of 73-year-old WWE Hall of Famer. Former WWE manager Dutch Mantel provided an unfortunate health update on Hall of Famer Jerry "The King" Lawler, who suffered a stroke earlier this year. Lawler was rushed to a Florida hospital back in February after he suffered his 2nd stroke in 5 years. He was later discharged and sent home, with doctors expecting a full recovery. It should also be noted that Lawler suffered a heart attack in 2012 during an episode of Raw. On a recent episode of his Storytime podcast, Mantel revealed through a source that Lawler is not recovering the way he's supposed to. The King has problems with his speech, including difficulty in finishing sentences. He is much better, but still not recovering as well as they would hope. Mantel said, "He has trouble finishing sentences. I mean, he talks well. His voice has changed somewhat. He talks, but when he gets to the end of the sentence, he starts searching for words to end the sentence, and he gets frustrated." Mantel added that the stroke caused problems with the mobility of Lawler's right hand, which affected his artistic capabilities. He even went further by saying that the 73-year-old Hall of Famer has made his last appearance on Raw. He has trouble now doing his art, which is really frustrating him because he was and still is probably a tremendous artist, but he is not where he needs to be. That's why he wasn't lit at WrestleMania. He wasn't cleared to travel. I'm going to say that I think we've seen him on his last Raw. Jerry Lawler has not been a full-time commentator since 2020 when he was replaced by Samoa Joe on Raw. His last WWE appearance was on the January 23rd episode of Raw, which was the 30th anniversary show. The King also made sporadic appearances, mainly on pre-shows from 2016 to 2019. Listening to him on commentary has not been the same without Jim Ross, who left WWE in 2019. It should also be noted that Lawler has not announced his in-ring retirement. He last wrestled on January 21st at AMLO Wrestling's Acts of War Games 2 in North Carolina. At the event, he defeated former Ring of Honor star Beer City Bruiser. What's your favorite Jerry the King Lawler moment? Share your answers in the comments section below. Vince McMahon's return to control in WWE. Wrestling veteran Dutch Mantel claimed that he was afraid Vince McMahon would take control of WWE from Triple H after his return. Back in July 2022, Mr. McMahon stepped away from the business, allowing Hunter to take over the control of creative. However, after a few months, Vince was back in the boardroom as the company started working on a merger deal with Endeavor. This week on Smack Talk, Mantel explained that back when Triple H took over, there was only the Bloodline story that was making waves. However, right now, the company has several angles involving a number of roster members, making the weekly product must-see TV. If we look back 9 months ago, they had one story. That's all they had. They had Roman and all that. They didn't have any other stories. Now, since Triple H has taken over, and I did fear when Vince came back that things would change. But I think Triple H has kind of righted the ship and they're still on track. They got a lot more going on now than they did 9 months ago. Just a couple of weeks after Triple H presented the new undisputed WWE Universal Championship to Roman Reigns, chaos descended on the Bloodline. Emotions were at an all-time high this week on SmackDown as the Usos confronted Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman. The tribal chief claimed that Jey was the future leader of the Bloodline and that made Jimmy jealous of him. However, the Usos were not falling for this narrative as they superkicked Roman and Solo, effectively bringing an end to the faction. Reigns was shocked by the betrayal and quietly made his way to the back as the show went off the air. What did you think of this week's episode of WWE SmackDown? Let us know in the comments section below. Why Paul Heyman is still carrying 2 defunct belts. Paul Heyman is still carrying the now defunct Universal and WWE Championship belts despite Triple H recently introducing a new one. The company has been in the mood to introduce a lot of new titles, with the World Heavyweight title, Undisputed Universal title, and both brands having new women's championship designs and lineages. Reignss, of course, has been Universal Champion for over 1,000 days and is set to surpass Pedro Morales as the 4th longest reigning World Champion in WWE history. It seems unlikely that he will touch Bob Backlund or Bruno Sammartino as they all have 2,000+ day reigns as WWE Champion. The belts keep piling up for Roman Reigns, who would have hoped to have 2 additional undisputed tag team titles around his waist. However, he failed to do so at Night of Champions after Jey Uso's betrayal cost him and Solo Sikoa the match against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. It is quite interesting to see just how much gold the tribal chief has to carry, so much so that Paul Heyman has 2 titles with him. While Reigns is wearing the new undisputed Universal title design, Heyman has the other 2 old ones. There has been nothing specified about the 2 belts being a separate lineage or whether they will ever go back to the normal WWE Championship. Bayley sends a message to Roman Reigns after WWE SmackDown. Bayley took to social media to send a message to Roman Reigns after this week's episode of WWE SmackDown. Reignss made his return to television this week and was featured in the closing segment of SmackDown. Much to the WWE Universe's shock, Reignss was betrayed by Jey Uso, as the Bloodline finally crumbled. Taking to her official Instagram handle, Bayley uploaded a story as she sent a sarcastic message aimed at the Tribal Chief. Bayley will be in action at the upcoming Money in the Bank Premium Live event. She will feature in the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match alongside 5 other women. On the latest episode of SmackDown, the role model cornered Io Sky for her match against Zelina Vega. WB continued teasing a split within Damage Control amid tensions between Bayley and Sky. Ricochet has been quite vocal on social media regarding the Bloodline storyline. In recent weeks, he has sent out numerous tweets referencing the angle. Following Jey Uso's super kick to Roman Reigns on SmackDown, Ricochet reacted by tweeting a Vito Corleone gif. The WWE legend refused to elaborate on the same. Reigns' last WWE match was at Night of Champions when he teamed up with Solo Sikoa to face Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. By the looks of it, the Tribal Chief will once again be in tag team action, this time against the Usos. With Money in the Bank right around the corner, the company could potentially book a huge tag team showdown featuring Reigns and Sikoa against the twin brothers. WWE is yet to make an official announcement on the same. Would you like to see Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa in action against the Usos? Sound off in the comment section. Sami Zayn helped Jey Uso to choose between Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso. Roman Reigns had it coming, but he still thought he could manipulate his way out of it. The Tribal Chief finally got his answer from Jey Uso on the latest edition of Friday Night SmackDown. Main event, Jey super kicked his way out of the Bloodline, a shocking turn of events. But where did he get the inspiration and the courage to break his shackles? While Jey's love for his twin brother Jimmy was a huge factor, his interaction with Sami Zayn immensely helped. The 38-year-old star had been trying to convince Jey Uso to come to his senses for months. The two even shared a brief moment where they didn't talk but stared at each other before Jey made his way to the ring to tell Roman Reigns about his decision. Sami Zayn told Jey Uso to make the right decision last Friday on SmackDown. The former honorary Uso told Main Event Jey he didn't need to listen to Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. Sami also warned Jey against walking the path the Tribal Chief had laid out for him because that would mean the end of the Usos. Having said that, Sami's interaction with Jey had fans convinced that the Usos would be indirectly responsible for the miscommunication and eventual split of the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions. However, the recent turn of events suggests that the door is still open for Jimmy and Jey Uso to patch up with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Roman Reigns walked to the ring this Friday with a new undisputed WWE Championship around his waist, while Paul Heyman carried his older belt. The Tribal Chief entered the ring and soaked up the atmosphere before he did his signature pose. Roman was in the middle of his promo when Jey Uso arrived. The Tribal Chief resorted to his gaslighting and manipulative tactics to turn Jey against his twin brother. Jimmy showed up and again tried to convince Jey to snap out of his cousin's lies. Roman Reigns asked Paul Heyman to tell Jey who among them didn't want to see him as the right-hand man, and the wise man looked at Jimmy. Jey asked his brother if it was true, and he nodded. The 37-year-old cut an emotional promo, capping off with a massive super kick to the Tribal Chief. The brothers then took out Solo Sikoa with a double super kick. Roman was livid and tried to get out, only to receive a double super kick. With that, the Usos were officially out of the Bloodline. What the Usos told each other backstage after attacking Roman Reigns. WWE has shared a backstage video of the Usos after the duo attacked Roman Reigns on SmackDown. During the final segment of SmackDown, Jey Uso made it known that he and Jimmy were out of the Bloodline. The duo then attacked Roman Reigns as the live crowd gasped in surprise. Shortly after the attack, the Usos were seen shaking hands and embracing backstage. The duo could be heard telling each other they got each other's back. WWE uploaded the footage on its official Instagram handle. It's not exactly a secret that the Tribal Chief never considered Jey and Jimmy as equal. He always made a point to let the duo know that they were beneath him, and it finally led to Jimmy snapping at Night of Champions. After weeks of speculation, Jey Uso finally made it clear that he was on Jimmy's side, and the twins turned on Reigns. Jey has been impressing the wrestling world with his work on the mic for a while now. Earlier this year, Corey Graves made a bold comment while praising Jey on After the Bell. There are very few people who have ever captivated me as deeply as Jey has, and let's be honest, Jey has been the linchpin in this entire Bloodline story from the beginning. Jey is doing the Lord's work, man. His facial expressions, his emotions, his promos. When Jey speaks right now, there is nobody in the world who can disagree with what Jey says because Jey believes it with every fiber of his being. Jey Uso is truly living up to the moniker of Main Event Jey recently, said Graves. The Usos are no longer a part of the Bloodline. Only time will tell what's stored in their future after turning on Reigns. A massive tag team match involving Jey, Jimmy, Reigns, and Solo is bound to happen in the near future. What was your immediate reaction to the final moments of SmackDown? Sound off in the comments section below. Roman Reigns' response to Jey Uso after betrayal on WWE SmackDown. Roman Reigns has not had the best few weeks on WWE TV recently, and that was compounded by another Bloodline member betraying him this week on SmackDown. Reigns was not happy and had something to say to Jey Uso after the latter sided with his brother. Jey Uso appeared to be ready to be done with Jimmy on SmackDown, saying that he had let him down multiple times, but ultimately he sided with his brother over Reigns, hitting the tribal chief with a super kick. Reigns stood up after the super kick and he was furious as he could not believe what had happened to him. This was the second time that a Bloodline member had super kicked him, with Jimmy Uso doing the first one back at Night of Champions. He shouted at Jey Uso in complete denial of what had just happened to him. "You don't leave me, no one leaves me." However, it's clear that Jey Uso has made his decision and sided with his brother. The Bloodline has now split in two, with the Usos on one side and Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa on the other. It remains to be seen how this plays out next. Do you think Solo Sikoa will leave Roman Reigns as well? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below.
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for